r/MaliciousCompliance.
Hey guys, welcome to LaughNapkin. Today I'll be reading 3 malicious compliance stories. If you have a story that you'd like to have featured, please submit it in the LaughNapkin subreddit. I'll throw a link in the description. Now let's get into it. Want me to turn on cartoon Gore for your kids? Are you sure? My brother and I aren't on the best of terms. I envy people with good relations to their siblings because being around my brother is just draining. He seems to follow 2 very strict rules. The first is that he's always right, even when the evidence is presented against him. I swear, the guy has developed immunity towards logic and reason. The second rule he follows is that I'm always wrong. Whatever I say, he has to argue against. It's obnoxious. Luckily, we no longer live in the same country, so we see each other at most 2 times a year, which is barely tolerable. This story takes place in December last year. I had traveled to my parents to celebrate Christmas, and so had my brother, his wife, and his 2 kids, 2 and 4, maybe 5 years old. All of us are staying in my parents' house. As you can imagine, it's rather crowded and the noise levels far exceed that of which I'm used to. One morning, I wake up around 8 a.m. My brothers and his kids are already awake and eating breakfast from what I can hear. I decide to browse Reddit on my phone for about an hour just to avoid any more interaction than I have to. When I finally decide to leave bed and have breakfast, my brother and his family have moved on to the TV room. The TV is on and they're watching cartoons on YouTube. I make myself 2 sandwiches and join them. My brother hands me the remote and says, "Just put on whatever 4-year-old is pointing at. I need to go to the bathroom." Alright, I can do that. Unlike his father, this little guy is actually pretty cool to be around. We browse child-friendly YouTube videos, eventually settling on Barney, the purple dinosaur. My brother has by this point returned. Eventually, the video ends and related videos pop up. 4-year-old is pointing at a video called Scientifically Accurate, Barney the Purple Dinosaur. I've been browsing enough internet to know that this is not a child-friendly video. The conversation goes as follows. 4-year-old, "Uncle, please put that one on." "I don't think that's a good idea. How about another one?" "But I want to see that one." My brother interrupts me. "Put that one on. He wants to see it." "I really don't." "Put it on." "Trust me, it's, for God's sakes, just put it on." "Alright, but this one's on you." I mentally prepare myself for the total crap show that is about to go down as I place the remote on the table. No more than 15 seconds into the video, the first images of cartoon Gore is displayed. The 2-year-old starts crying. The maternal instincts of my brother's wife kicks in and she starts yelling at my brother to turn it off. By this point, the video has reached the point where the kids are starting to get hurt. Brother finally manages to turn the video off. The 4-year-old, having seen forbidden content, is now throwing a tantrum over not getting to see the entire video. Brother's wife does her best to comfort the 2-year-old, but she is crying her eyes out. Meanwhile, my brother is trying to end the tantrum with the 4-year-old. Despite the mayhem, all I can feel is total inner peace. Never has utter chaos been so satisfying. Finally, my brother turns to me and says, "Why would you put that crap on?" In a calm voice, I simply reply, "Because you told me to." "But you knew what it was." "And you didn't listen when I tried to warn you." "You never tried to warn me." I sigh. At this point, I just leave. There's no winning this argument. After all, he's always right, even when the evidence is screaming otherwise. Want me to pick up a shift despite my doctor's note? Sure. This happened about 15 years ago. I was working as a server in a chain restaurant during the summer while I was home from college. I had gone to a party one night, gotten hammered, and wound up passing out near the bonfire in the brush by a tree line of this big field. I woke up the next morning feeling pretty rough, and gradually saw large patches of poison ivy popping up all over my body. By the end of the day, it was absolutely horrendous, head to toe, and I realized that I had slept in a patch of poison ivy. I could barely move. I went to the doctor, who put me on steroids and bed rest. I was scheduled to work the next day and called my supervisor to let him know that aside from not being able to move my limbs because of the swelling, itching, and pain, I looked awful and should not be serving food to customers. He was a prick about it, asked me questions trying to poke holes in my story, and then demanded a doctor's note. I called my doctor and had one sent to him. The note cleared me from work for at least a week. A few days later, I get a call from my manager. They are slammed on a busy weekend night and need me to come in. I remind him that I have a doctor's note, it hasn't been a week. And while I'm feeling better, I'm covered in oozing sores. And he tells me, "You've had long enough. Come in now or you'll be fired." Fine. I put on shorts, my polo shirt with company logo, name tag and apron, and head to the restaurant. I get to the hostess stand and everyone around me stares at my skin with their jaws dropped. I tell the hostess I was called into work and would like to check with the manager about where my section will be. She tells me that he's busy in the party room helping out with a very large group and that I probably shouldn't go in there. She offers to go get him and tries to get me to move to a more conspicuous place. No, I insisted. I was told I'd be fired if I don't come into work today. I walked straight back to the party room, tapped my manager on the shoulder, and cheerily said, "Hi, manager. I'm here for my shift. How can I help?" His eyes opened wide in horror, and he told me immediately to go back home. I loudly protested that I was feeling better, that my sores weren't that bad, and I was worried about being fired like he told me on the phone. He told me to go home, which I did. This was not the first incident where the manager was an absolute prick, and I called to quit the morning of the next legitimate shift I was scheduled for after the poison ivy cleared up. Want to try and belittle me? I'll make you late for your precious flight. I work for a contracting company in Pennsylvania. I work as a traffic controller, meaning I'm the guy that sets up the traffic cones and signs at construction sites, as well as hold the sign with stop and slow on either side. As you can guess, because I'm sure that some of you do just a little bit, people hate me when I'm at work. I get constant remarks and comments thrown at me simply because I inconvenience people a few minutes on their commutes. But I don't give a crap because I'm making sure the workers, my coworkers, and the drivers are all safe and no one gets hurt or killed. I also don't give a crap about what people say about me, as I have pretty thick skin. So one day, I'm working a job with 4 other traffic controllers. Usually it's only 2, me and someone else. But we were on a busy intersection, so we needed more people. I was at the top of a hill which flowed into a huge S-bend before the intersection. I was there to make sure that people slowed down before the bend to avoid them blowing past or hitting my coworker at the bottom. I was to only stop traffic when I was radioed to. This was only for the few times the work trucks were moving out of the work zone. Things were going smoothly at first. Eventually, I got the call to hold traffic. So I flipped my sign to stop, and traffic comes to a stop perfectly fine. Then I hear it. A few cars down the line, a woman is blaring her horn nonstop and screaming out of the window of her Mercedes. This Karen is just wailing because I stopped everyone. She eventually gets out of her car and comes stomping up to me. Now, I can't leave my post. However, I was fully prepared to whack this chick with my sign if needed. She finally reaches me and says this: "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm holding the traffic, ma'am." "Let us through. I have to be at the airport." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we have workers moving down there. You're just gonna have to wait." "This is effing ridiculous. Just tell them to move. I have to go." "I'm sorry." She cuts me off. "Listen, you heroin-addicted, good-for-nothing slimeball. Get the hell out of my way and do your damn job." She storms back to her car. Again, I have thick skin, so I didn't care about the comment. However, I am not so against some good old malicious compliance. She wants me to do my job? Well, alrighty then. I get the call to let traffic through, and I begin to do so. I noticed the 2 cars that were behind Karen had turned off into side roads, so she was the last one in line. Oh, perfect, I think to myself. I radio down to the guy at the bottom of the hill and tell him that I'll be holding up traffic for a bit. By law in Pennsylvania, I can hold traffic for 15 minutes. So I decide to use that to get some malicious compliance on Karen. I let the car in front of her go and stop her. She starts back up again. "What the hell are you doing?" "Sorry, ma'am, there's an obstruction in the road. You'll need to wait till it's moved." What was the obstruction, you ask? Well, it was my lunchbox that I threw in the middle of the road after stopping her. She went off for 15 minutes on me about how she's gonna miss her flight and how I'm a dirty convict. Never been to jail, by the way. 15 minutes goes by and I move my lunchbox and let her through. Thankfully, only one other car came by in that time and it turned off into a driveway, so I wasn't inconveniencing an innocent here. She pulls up and yells and asks me, "What the hell were you doing, you horrible person?" I reply with a very snarky, "Just doing my job, ma'am." She drives away in a huff. When we finished up, the others asked what I was doing, and I told them what happened. They thought it was the funniest thing they've heard all week. I don't know if she was late for her flight, but I hope she was. Moral of the story is, kids, don't mess with traffic controllers. We can mess up your day more than you think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed making it. Don't forget to tell me what you think about these stories and submit your own story in the comment section below. See you guys in the next video.